Good morning, everyone. This is our daily socio-political tarot and astrology. So let's see what we may have to look forward to today. Right there. Okay, full tummies in the morning. Wishes fulfilled. News coming out. The theme for the day is news coming out about money, health matters, and oh boy, is there a lot of news. Okay. Wow. So I can't say anything more about it really when it comes to the political part. The pages are always messengers, I can say that for sure. With the Pentacles, we're dealing with anything to do with health, finances, everything of the physical, realm. And there's a focus there. And there's a lot of news coming out. For who knows how many on the dark side over there, as I didn't allow for reversals, so that you can see the images, but I'll cover it both ways. When it comes to the Nine of Cups, this is, oftentimes readers will call it the smug merchant, because he's, his hands are folded, but it does show, somebody who's very satisfied. Well, the red hat reminds me of Russia. I think Putin is really happy with what he's getting, because the news for the USA is probably getting worse every day. Yeah. I'd like it if he fell over and hit the ground. Okay, there we go. Here's our astrology for today. The moon has gone forward enough to where we're in the first, we're actually at 1 degree in the second decan of the sign, which brings in the learning lesson stage. 10 degrees to 19 degrees is learning lessons or frick around and find out. Because of the square to Jupiter, and this is an approaching square because, every degree forward is approaching, and the square is starting over here with 17 degrees. So all morning and into the afternoon, there will be decisions about facts coming out. It makes sense why we had, the Page of Pentacles here, because, of course, he rules all earthly signs, which are Taurus, Gemini, and Capricorn. So there we are with the public mood being the moon. The mood is tracking patterns. It has to do with, in Virgo, we're wanting to be very discerning. We're wanting information to be useful. We're focused on our health. We're focused on getting divine order going best we can on this earthly plane. We don't want to be going into chaos, and we definitely don't like being not valued. And the news that keeps coming out with Jupiter and Gemini, Jupiter expands. Gemini also is a co-ruler with Virgo by Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So here we are with the exact hookup from Ceres to Jupiter and then on over to the moon. So Jupiter is in a T-square to both planets, and again, Mercury being the news, it's going out far and wide, being in Pisces, and we're making decisions based on what we learn, and we're trying to, like I said before, not descend into chaos. The best way we can use the energy today is to be very discriminating. Do your best with making things the best way you can, but let go of needing to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection on the human level, and so don't beat yourself up. And don't let anyone else beat you up either. If anybody's judging you harshly, that's on them, not on you. But there's also this sesquisquare here over to Eris. So there's a lot of courage to get to the truth of whatever is going on, and there will be disruptions to plans based on what is learned today. And then we also have another sesquisquare here from Pluto to Jupiter. And so Jupiter is holding a lot today in the realm of information. So we've got disruptions and detours to power structures. Again, stock market, everything's online, everything can be tracked, nothing stops at 4 o'clock anymore, but the big stuff does. But I don't know, how do you judge what's big and what's small when you're talking to your, looking at your 401k or anything else, pension? We still have all of these sextiles coming off of Venus that has to do with money, Saturn that has to do with the government and the structure that we hold dear in our lives, not related to the government, but maybe we do, because how many federal workers have been laid off? And then Mercury, we're thinking about that. We're thinking about our form and structure and what can we count on and how are we being victimized by the tyrannical, demented, poop for brains in the White House. And his tech support. Oh, God. Meanwhile, Mr. Tech Support doesn't like what's going on with the global markets. He doesn't want higher tariffs with China. How many parts for Tesla? How much of Tesla is in China? Google that. So 3 squares to Mars coming off of the sun that is really tight with Chiron. Chiron has to do with the deepest wound of not feeling that you have any value, that you have any ability to assert yourself, to not have, you can't be individual. You have to go with the herd. You can't, these are all false beliefs, right? But this is the spotlight being shown on the fact that people are worried about their independence and their absolute existence, because Aries is existence, if nothing else. And they're concerned about how far can they move forward and trust that they're going in the right direction. It's the deeper wounding of feeling abandoned, being left out. And there's a whole lot of feminine courage here to prevent that. And every day that the sun moves forward 1 degree, you can see it won't be long. It'll be exactly on Chiron, and then the sun will be like a sandwich in between Chiron and Eris. And Eris is our kick-butt feminine struggle for equality, and is stronger than Pluto because it takes her 556 to 58 years to get around the zodiac. She's been in Aries since 1926, and she will continue to be until 2048. So it's really important that the mood today, it does reflect this importance over here to our own independence. Now, Chiron is the deepest wounding, but it's also our deeper gifts. So the gift coming through this transit of Aries is all about your independence. Women are meant to grow into complete independence. We're not meant to be dependent on men, and men are not meant to be emotionally dependent on women. We are to do our part and be equal in both ways, right? But how often do you see the opposite of that? And that's what the dark side of the government wants. You know, they want women barefoot and pregnant and, honey, what's for dinner every friggin' night, right? Don't you dare go out and try to earn a living, you know, that kind of a thing. Now, with that said, I have all respect for women who raise children and stay home and take care of the kids, at least until they're, you know, in school and, you know, mom gets bored and then she goes and gets a job, like that kind of a thing. Because that's exalting the feminine, and I'm all for that, because the men, they don't give birth. So we're thinking more full circle about those things, the feminine and the wall of what kind of victimizing gaslit structure, gaslit. Who is it? Was it Sarah Kensingdor that wrote Gaslit Nation? Or is that a podcast? I think it's a podcast, but maybe it's her podcast. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, we still have these huge connections to down here to Mars, and Mars is action and motivation, and we all want to be safe and secure. I keep saying that, and I will continue to. This is also the need for safety and security for our homes. And where's FEMA? Do we have FEMA anymore? Are we screwed? Has the government completely victimized us? Has Trump taken out FEMA? Educate me, please. I don't have time to look up everything. I do personal readings in between these. And then there's a certain time of the late afternoon where I'm like, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm going to watch something fun on TV or get out and go for another walk. So anyway, with Mars here, at the point between these two sextiles, there's the opportunity to shore up our defenses in our homeland and in our homes. So like I keep saying, do everything you can to put yourself in the position of power, and networking together helps. We all have really good ideas. We all have our unique perspective on ways to get by, ways to grow. You know, Cancer's all about growth. Aquarius is all about networking. And like I keep saying, it's the power of the people coming together and networking that will get us through all of this. We have to stick together for each other. And I believe that Neptune and Aries will bring more and more, because Neptune relates to the masses and Aries brings in new growth. You know, more and more people will continue to come in and go, oh my goodness, what was I ever thinking about voting for Trump? Because the truth is coming in about him. It's coming out about him every day. And more people will see his insanity. So the T-square to Jupiter is the main thing going on today. Let me go ahead and take it to the tight orb and see. Okay, so don't know how we lost the T-square, but we did. I guess it's because, the moon, right? Well, hold on. There we go. So what time is that? 4 p.m.? Yeah. Okay. So at 4 p.m., it gets really tight. There's more tension here. The tension blows up by the end of the day. 5. We've got the exact T-square there. From Ceres, protection, Jupiter, learning, and opening up. Now, Jupiter's also spiritual law. Spiritual law is that Nobody's left out. We're all included. Doesn't matter what color you are, what gender, or however you identify. You're a human being. If it's breathing, if we're breathing and there are eyes, there's consciousness even in a rock. It's just not moving very fast. But we include everything. And that's what the lesson, that is the big lesson with this Pisces pileup we have going on here. So, but you can see this other aspect of the architect that comes in later in the afternoon. And then the moon, besides the moon being in the T-square between, Jupiter Ceres, the moon's over here, the moon by 5 p.m., is opposing. So there's confrontation with, hey, what about women? Hey, what about anything that I'm afraid of losing? Well, we're learning about it. We're learning more and more. We're talking food, farming with Mars in Cancer. We're talking everything. We're talking real needs. Real needs. So yeah, things are really heating up by the evening. I'm just, big old news dumps, right? Big old news dumps about who's got what and who gets a full. We all deserve full tummies, but like I said, big old news dumps. When the astrology and the cards match up, you just can't ignore it. So, okay, that's it for today. Thanks, you guys. Big hugs as always. Stay safe.